welcome to another episode of Big Talk. Today we are here with Mr. Ahmed Faraj. Ahmed Faraj is the founder of LUMOFY, and we're about to find out what LUMOFY is, what it does, how it helps individuals and companies, and also we want to hear from Ahmed how he became, in my opinion, one of the most successful startup entrepreneurs in Bahrain. So again, without further ado, Ahmed, shlonek?
Sameer, thank you so much for having me. It's always good to see you and seeing the Big Talk here, and it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, Habib. I'm good. We're also always honored to have people such as yourself. You are, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, a success story for Bahrain entrepreneurs. And what this is about, it's about to understand how you did it, understand more about LUMOFY, where it's going, how it started, and how other people can learn from your experiences, because life is all about learning.
Absolutely.
And the experience that you've had in this amazing journey, which has just started, I'm sure you have a lot more to go to, is an amazing experience that I would like our viewers and people in Bahrain and around the GCC to learn and maybe follow in your footsteps, because I believe this is how the future is. It's always learning from other people and then taking an increase, just going to the next level and next level. So to start this, tell us about yourself, Ahmed. Where did you go to school?
I studied in Sheikh Isa School for my high school. Then after that, I went to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur.
No way.
I did my bachelor degree in accounting and finance there. And it was around, for 3 years. And I think one of the main core stepping stone in building my entrepreneurial mindset was there. This is where I started there, selling different type of products, having some sort of an independency, buying my own car. And I really believe one of the main element of who I am today started over there in Malaysia when I studied my bachelor.
So Malaysia was your college. This is where you went
Correct.
Now, I mean, people go to UK. I know people went to Australia. Of course, a lot of people went to the US. I've actually never heard of anybody going to Malaysia. So how did this even come to be?
It was after the high school, a friend of mine called me, Ahmed, I'm applying to a university there in Malaysia. I asked my dad, and he said, why not? And both of us, we went there and submitted our documents. At the end, I went, he didn't come. So that's how it really started. I had no clue about Malaysia. I never had some sort of a thinking of studying abroad. I didn't have this in my mind. But subhanAllah, it happened. I went there. He ditched me. And it was an amazing journey there. Really amazing journey. I was in a meeting a couple of weeks back in Saudi Arabia, and I was sitting with one of the CEOs, and he told me that he graduated from King Fahd Petroleum University. And I told him, what's happening in Saudi Arabia? Most of the leaders in Saudi, they graduated from that university. What is the reason? What is behind it? And I was amazed. He told me, it's not about the study. One of the core elements in King Fahd University is they really teach you discipline. And one of the core elements that I really learned in our university in Malaysia, we had to be professional. We need to wear, formal, and we need to tuck our shirts. And I really believe those type of elements that created that type of personality of mine, which is, again, discipline. And as I said earlier, I started figuring things out, how to make more money and selling different products. And that's how I think it started building that entrepreneurial mindset.
I couldn't agree more with you. Discipline is the core of any successful person, be it entrepreneur or be it executive or anything. I say this usually during the podcast that I do, but when I was 12, I was sent to a boarding school in UK. And I stayed there for 6 years nearly.
Wow.
So I grew up in, that's the most critical age, the teenager age.
Correct.
And as you know, boarding school is, of course, all about discipline.
Correct.
So this is the suit that you had to wear. It was the worst suit, it's wool. And because England is always cold and it's always itchy. And for 6 years, we had to wear, even in the summer of UK, we had to wear those suits. As uncomfortable as it was and as annoying as it was, their purpose is to teach discipline. Because when you have discipline and when you accept discipline, then you apply that to everything else around you in your life.
Correct.
Most importantly, over here, we're talking about work as well.
Correct.
And having a disciplinary mindset at work just makes you able to achieve and do more and overcome whatever struggles that you usually encounter, which is...
You're absolutely right.
Entrepreneurship is all about struggle.
Correct.
So if you have that discipline, then it really goes hand in hand, and it shows and
I hope.
what you have become.
I hope.
Now, what about language barrier? Because usually we go to a country that we know the second language. You went to a country where you don't know. I mean, was it English in the college?
No, their second language is English. A majority of them, they speak English. Okay. But English was a barrier to me.
Okay.
Because of I was in the at that days I was from the government school, and the level of English that I had back then, it wasn't to that extent. So it was a very tough first year for me there, and I had to go through a lot. And one of the core, let's say, like my dad was behind me. Doesn't matter, continue. I failed in a couple of subjects initially, and he said, doesn't matter, continue. He was really pushing me, even that I had some moments that, Dad, I want to come back. It's not my place. When the first year passed, things totally changed.
I understand you so well, because I've had similar experiences as well, and it's hard when you leave home to a foreign country. Completely different language, different mindsets, different culture, different religions sometimes,
Correct.
Different beliefs, people that look completely different to you.
Absolutely.
So you really stand out. Like mine was UK, and everybody there was white. And I do remember after 6 months over there, I ran away from school, and they called my father and they said, your son ran away from school, and he found we had a summer house, and I was staying in the summer house. I hid there. And my dad called. I said, Baba, take me out. I want to come back to Bahrain. This is not something I accept. So he said, okay. He traveled to UK, picked me up from the house, drove back to my school. I went to the boarding house to collect my luggage and my clothes, to pack them. He went to the headmaster's office to sign the paperwork. I had my bag ready in the front of, I remember the car. I was standing in front of his car with my luggage, waiting for him to come out the headmaster's office. He comes out. He says, change of plans. I'm like, my heart just sank. I'm like, what do you mean change of plans? I already said goodbye to everybody. And, he says, no, apparently that if I submit to what you want, then this will have bad repercussions in the future for you.
He's absolutely.
And apparently what you're going through is normal. Everybody goes through that. And I stayed.
And I'm sure it made a lot of difference. You realize the value of it later on.
Obviously, you're 100% correct. You start understanding that through struggle, strength comes.
Correct, absolutely.
But through ease, you don't become strong.
You're absolutely right.
The stronger you are in life, in mindset, I'm not saying muscle strength, I'm saying mind.
It's the toughness of the mindset.
That's
like once, again, a colleague of mine in LUMOFY, I was telling her that sometimes in leadership, you really need people who has a very, let's say, they need to have patience, and they really need to look at things from different angles. It's not about sometimes being a leader, sometimes about being a very specialist in something. It's about the mindset you have. It's about the patience that you have. It's about the way we look at, or the way the leadership should look at things from different perspectives and looking at different consequences. So, as you said, the more we learn, the more the toughness of our, again, mindset will be, again, the capacity will grow.
What degree did you get?
Accounting and finance.
Accounting and finance. So you had a degree, you came after 3-4 years?
Almost 3 years.
Yep. And you're back in Bahrain with your degree.
Correct.
You've accomplished a lot of things, getting the degree. This is the first time you were away from your family, living abroad.
Correct.
So that in itself is an achievement. And you're back. What did you do? Did you get a job?
So I started in a couple of companies such as TV Nord, NCS, MENA. I worked for BCFC. And this is where I had them, that I worked in Tuvinord and Impact. This is where my training passion, I saw that I really have a lot of passion towards learning and building capabilities and working on capacity building. And that's where the spark came to me when I went to the industry of training.
How many years did you do that? How many years of...
Approximately around 5 to 6 years.
So 5-6 years of working in different companies.
Correct.
And gaining experience and then finding things that you like, which is...
Maximum, for every company, I worked for 12 months.
Okay.
So I was jumping from here and there, experiencing different things. But I always had the mindset of building something, starting something.
All in Bahrain.
Then in 2015, I started a startup. I was offered by a friend of mine and my previous partner in our previous company. He had an idea in mind, and it was related to learning and development and all of that. We started together from 2015 till 2020 when the COVID hit. Everything went shut down. We decided to liquidate the company, and this is where I started in 2020 LUMOFY. So how we started, you asked earlier.
Yes.
And 2020, I had a cash, I had a runway, as they say. I had around $100,000 at that time. And I spoke to a couple of my colleagues in my previous company. I told them, listen, I have this amount and I want to start something. I had a 6 months runway for me to live. I was living on the edge, literally living on the edge. And my colleagues, they accepted to come with me. They took the risk. And I told them, listen, the first 3 months, I cannot pay you anything. But the moment we sign any contract, I will give you the same salary that you was getting in our previous company.
So these are people that were working with you
previously in our previous company,
which is now the company
now they are with
is
me.
LUMOFY.
Correct. Now they are with me. In
now
LUMOFY.
They're working with you.
Correct.
But the way you integrated them in the company is you gave them equity.
Yes. Then I told them, beside that, I will give you equity as well.
Did they pay to have?
No.
So they just gave their talent and their time, which is extremely important.
Correct.
And in return, an equity, and also as soon as we sign up something, you're going to be getting salaries.
July, second month, or it was our official month, we signed a contract with GPIC.
Okay.
I always like to mention them because they were the first supporter.
Yes.
And they are our client. And they really believed in us, and they gave us this opportunity, and it started from there.
Now, what is LUMOFY?
LUMOFY, it's a skills intelligence platform. We really focus on aligning business objectives, directions with the required skill sets. So when we go to the companies, we really need to understand what is their direction, what is their strategic goals, and based on those directions, do they have the required skill sets to set or to achieve those objectives. This is where we created an AI tool. Basically, a company can come our platform, they identify, or they, again, on the onboarding phase, they, again, set their industry they operate in, the size of company, the stage of company, the strategic objectives that they have. Then the platform will generate the complete competency or skill framework they require to achieve that direction. From behavioral skills, cognitive skills, technical skills, digital skills, leadership skills, and compliance skills, which is aligned with their industry, based on the job levels.
Wow.
So that's the initial phase of LUMOFY, which we call it align. We align their direction with the required skills. Now, the required skill set. Then we understood now the direction, the skill required to achieve that direction. Now we need to know, where does those employees stand against those skills?
The existing employees that they have.
So who should have those skills? The team, of course. Then we go into the diagnosis phase, where we assess their employees through multiple type of assessment tool metrics, such as psychometric assessment, leadership assessment, cognitive assessment, technical assessment, 360 assessment, skill quizzes, to really understand the deviation within the company, to align them with the direction that they need to achieve. After that, this is where we go to the third pillar of LUMOFY, which is build. In Build, we basically curate, we call it development pathways. We don't call it learning pathways. We started as a learning, but we identify where if we want people to acquire certain skills, they need to go through development. So the difference between development and learning is basically people, they should go through a journey in order for them to acquire those skills. Now, the pathway, it consists of multiple of objects. It could be learning, it could be discussion, it could be live session, it could be coaching, it could be assessment, it could be a quiz, it could be, so you decide, or we, the platform will suggest for you the types of objects you require to make those people obtain those skills. At the same time, we aggregated our platform with hundreds of content publishers around the world. We have more than 80,000 content in almost all industries. You call it from industrial to oil and gas to pharmaceutical to, you call it construction to aviation. So we have aggregated thousands or 10 of thousands of content across hundreds of content of publishers around the world into our platform. And at the same time, we are specialized in building our own content because we saw a lack in the market with Arabic content. And our core focus market was Saudi Arabia. So we built a huge library in Arabic as well. Then the fourth pillar of LUMOFY, it's basically boost by having a full performance management tool on your platform just to see where do they stand against their performance.
So this is, who uses this? The employer, so the managerial level, a person in HR, or the actual employee? Who uses this platform?
All. So we have the admin side, which is the HR, the managers, and the employee. So it's, again, the platform, the managers will appraise their employees, or they will assess their employees. They will give them feedback throughout the journey of the pathway, as I mentioned earlier, to again align them further. The employees, they can be trained. They can have those pathways. They can obtain different skills. They will have their appraisals, their performance management, their 360 review. It's, again, for the entire stakeholders within a company.
Okay, so just, I understand. I understand because I've known you for a while, and I've been following, of course, LUMOFY's success story. But for those that don't know LUMOFY and are just now finding out about this pretty ingenious startup that we have here in Bahrain. So basically, when you, the owner or the CEO, goes to a company, so small, medium, large, or anybody?
We are an industry agnostic. We are focusing currently on the medium, to a certain extent, to medium size companies.
What's a medium company to you?
Now we have clients with 4,000 users.
That's medium?
That's in Bahrain to a certain extent considered medium. In Saudi Arabia in Bahrain to consider large. In Saudi Arabia to consider
startup.
So we have, for example, Gulf Air Group entirely, for example. We have companies such as GPIC, as I mentioned earlier. We work with Tamkeen, we work with PPTC, Bahrain
Okay, so some governmental, some private.
Semi-government, private. We work with, for example, in Saudi Arabia with 7. Hayat Tarfih, which they have the AMC cinemas. We have different type. We are very industry agnostic. We have aviation. We work with Fly Deal, for example, in Saudi Arabia. We work with the Saudi Aviation Authority, for example. So we have multiple. Again, as I said, we are an industry agnostic. We work because we really believe it's not about the topic or it's not about the industry. It's about the cycle for the company. That's the experience that we are creating with the LUMOFY platform.
So basically, you get a call from a company, or you approach a company.
Correct.
And you tell them that have, a decent sized employees, like 30,
100,
40,
200,
okay,
say, yeah.
100 plus. And you tell them, my company LUMOFY will be able to analyze your company's manpower and tell you who best fits where and what you need to do to extract the best out of your staff, and how they can also benefit from being part of your organization. Did I sum it up in a nutshell?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you do that through all these systems and
the AI tool that we have developed.
Now, that's interesting you said AI, because 2020, I mean, we heard of AI just like on the movies in 2020. 2021, AI became a little bit more like, AI. 2022 is like, I think ChatGPT started in 2022 or 2023. And that's when normal people started using AI. But you had that a little bit earlier. I mean, if you're telling me you started up in 2020, that means you had that vision or that understanding of
the AI. We worked on our AI tool for the last almost a year and a half almost.
Okay.
Since the GPT came out, OpenAI came out, and all of that, we built our models and our machine learning, and we launched it May this year, because AI is about data. The more validated and credible or validated data you have, the better the let's say the outcome will be. So we had to build our data. When I'm saying about what do I mean by data, which data they require. Now, I told you earlier, a company come on our platform, they will set the industry they operate in. For example, they will say we are in the financial services, and they will say we are in the stage of expansion. So every stage of a company has different strategic parameters. That's why we sometimes hear that when they change the board, they bring board members as aligned with the current stage of that business, correct?
Correct.
Now, what happens when they select the industry that they are in and they set the stage of business, that will the AI tool that will identify all companies that they were in their stage, which core strategic pillars that they had. It will map it for you.
Okay.
So it goes based on what actual use cases, and at the same time, it will go. We scrapped hundreds of thousands of job roles across almost 21 industry. And when I say 21 industry, the financial sector industry has multiple sub-industries. So we went in the depth to corporate, in the depth of retail, in the depth of Islamic banking, for you to have a very proper data that aligns with your industry and your...
But this is what I was actually going to ask you. Like, what background knowledge do you have of Islamic banking in order for you to align the, let's say, a bank that's, works in the Islamic sector, banking sector, and you go in, and I know you use the AI and you use whatever software that you definitely have, obviously, because without software... I mean, LUMOFY is all about this software that you guys have. But you're talking to a bank, and then you're talking to an aluminium making company, and then you're talking to an airline company, and then you're talking... These are different companies. So the software that you have, how does it... Is it all these companies are the same, or does it realign itself and understand that aviation sector, HR or accounts is different than the banking sector, HR and accounts? How do you do...
So this is where we do something we call it scrapping. We scrap data across the web. So we scrap data across the web, this is where we feed our machine learnings with those data. So we go to the same industry. So what I said, we scrapped almost 21 industries. So we identified the core 21 industries that we want to currently serve. And for example, we go regionally, we see those companies and in which stage they are. What are the skills that they have, the job roles that they have? We have we aligned, or we integrated, or we dumped into our machine learning almost majority of skill frameworks of, for example, Singapore, or for example, Saudi Arabia. So every country, every country, they have their own skill framework. Our McKinsey, they have their own skill framework as well. So we took all of those skill framework and we...
Wow, that's some really valuable data that you have over there.
Correct.
And that's your advantage, and that's what you're able to offer these companies that come on board with you, is the data that you've managed to amass, the skill level of the team that they managed to assess all these things, and of course the software and the AI system that you have. So give me an example of a company. I mean, you don't have to name the actual company, but give me an example so that we understand. You went into a company and they asked you to come in, analyze the staff, assess them via the metrics that you have.
Correct.
And give me an example of a situation where you actually had to change people from like accounts to sales, or sales to HR, or HR, because I'm sure that's...
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what happens, right?
Absolutely.
It's basically, it's It's making sure that the staff you have are in the right position, doing the right thing based on their personality and
based
skill
on
level.
their skill set that they have. I will give you a use case with one of our clients in Saudi Arabia. They are in the insurance sector, and it was an amazing thing that we have done with them. One of the core use cases that they wanted to identify the high pros, or the high potential leaders, and we went in depth on assessing 50 people to really see who will be at the high pro, or the high potential person, or the leader that they want to build that program for them. Out of the 50, the analysis that we have done, we identified almost 30 out of those 50, they have the potential of being leaders. And again, based on those analysis that we have done for them and all of that, literally almost 80% of those 30, they are in the leader positions today.
Oh,
so that's one of the use cases, very successful use cases that we had.
how about the other way around? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be taken a little bit, it's hard to swallow when you're already a leader and you're being told, well, you know what, you're actually more efficient or proficient in this area, because nepotism exists all over the world.
Correct.
Which is basically favoring people that are part of your circle or family and things like this. And this is something that we all grew up, especially if it's a family business and things like this. So how does it work when you go into a company and tell them, hey, you know what, your grandson or your son or your niece shouldn't really be the manager of that department. They should be more concentrating in the legal part or something. How?
To be very frank, we really didn't have such a sort of use case. But majority of, we had, for the last few years, we have a certain extent of churn of our client. We lost them because of clarity.
Oh, they didn't like what they found from you.
Or they didn't really utilize our technology to that extent because maybe they know what is the outcome.
Yes.
So they were focusing, for example, only on using the learning part of our technology. But a lot of companies nowadays, because of the market, the competitiveness, the competition that we have in the market, you really see that the attitude is totally changing. We had Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Saturday and Sunday was a leave, but we had a very amazing workshop with one of our clients in Saudi Arabia. It's a group where they have almost 7 to 8 companies under that group, and maybe more than 6,000 employees. Sometimes we go into the depth by really aligning the strategic pillars based on their current stage and their direction, and we have open discussion with the chairman and the CEOs of the companies, and going in depth to make sure that the strategic pillars are aligned with their stage of business and direction, in order for us later stages to come and build the required skill framework and align the people towards that direction. Sometimes we go into that depth with our clients. Sometimes it's a surface. They want it to be a surface, so let it be a surface.
You have different levels.
Yes. But sometimes it's purely on a certain use case. For example, a company, they have a problem with onboarding. They have a high turnover, and they want to reduce the onboarding process because their industry, it's normal to have a high turnover, but the onboarding cycle is lengthy, and they want to shorten that aspect. This is where we go and we create a very, let's say, interactive sort of onboarding phase or a use case for them on our platform, and we focus on specific use case.
The general understanding of business around the world is that, and I say it's general, I'm not saying it's the real accurate 100% what it is, I'm saying general, is that people leave because they're not getting paid enough. So how true is that?
It's not true. Statistics stated that more than 90% of millennials and Gen Z, they leave their job because they don't have clarity on where they are going.
They don't have the management did not tell them this is the path to climb the ladder.
And one of the main motives behind LUMOFY technology is to solve this problem as well, to give you clarity throughout your career, how you can move from a career or from a division or from a function to another function, where do you stand against your skill? How much you are ready against those skills that it requires to, let's say, for the sake of your succession development? Where do you stand against other divisions? That's the technology that we are building.
Do you have any family businesses? Because I think,
no,
in my opinion, those are the ones that need this.
Do we have family businesses?
Family business that you signed up with?
In Bahrain, no.
In general, I mean, as part of your portfolio.
Yes, okay. Yes, we do have.
Because, I mean, every medium to large size company needs what you're doing.
Correct.
Family businesses, I think, need it the most because they're the most, I don't want to say blinded, they're not blinded, but there's an empathy towards the family.
Correct.
And I mean, I know personally, like if you have somebody, a family member, and you put them in a managerial position, and then you put a really competent employee underneath them, then that competent employee usually leaves or doesn't perform as well. Correct. Because they think, she or he thinks, that they're better than the person on top of them. How do you overcome these things, and have you changed anybody's career path? Like they were in a different department, and do you have a story about that?
I'm sure the team, they have
did they tell you? Did they tell you? By the way, Ahmed, you know what you did? We're right. We changed this person from here to here, and they're much happier. You know,
I'm not pretty sure about those type of use cases, but we had similar use cases where people there obtained certain skills, and it was very helpful in their career progression. We have, like, I think one of our clients in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah specifically, they had a very open sort of discussion, and they discussed it. The group of employees, they came in a live session, and they were discussing how they use those skills to, again, grow further in their career.
Now, this is a lot of data that you're gathering from employees as well,
correct,
obviously. And what happens if they change companies? Do you, like, let's say they were working in company X, and then they went to company Y, and company Y signed up with you, and now you're working with company Y, and you actually recognize 2 or 3 of those staff because you've done their, what's the word that we call assessment?
The assess part.
Okay. Yeah. And you know who they are, you know where they fit. Is that an advantage, disadvantage?
I really believe that is something that still we didn't work on, or we don't have something.
It's going to happen eventually, Ahmed, given
sure.
the fact that you're covering all the big companies, and
I'm sure.
You know how people usually rotate from.
I'm sure it will happen. So yeah, that's a good sort of feature that we need to build.
Yeah,
in our product roadmap, that's for sure.
I mean, it also helps the employee as well, not just the employer. But this is a win-win situation for the employer and the employee. It's basically aligning
absolutely
skills, knowledge, personality with the career or profession that you're in.
You're absolutely right.
How do you make money?
Subscription. It's a B2B SaaS. We charge per person per year. That's the model that we work on.
So a company has 100 employees. Because of the 100 employees, is that if you have 120, it's that. If you have 200, it's that. It's basically per employee.
Per employee,
not
per year.
Not these services that you like.
They have add-ons as well.
Okay.
So they have, for example, access to the platform with LUMOFY content and international content. I want to have, for example, 100 talent assessments, such as psychometric assessment. So you have add-ons. Now, still, we didn't package everything separately as an add-ons. Now, as much as we can, we are promoting the entire technology with all features, for us to create some sort of value for a client where they can see the value, then eventually we'll charge the add-ons. That's the strategy that we are currently taking.
Are there any companies in the region that do what you're doing?
Regionally, yes, we have competitors, and like we have a few competitors that we are in the same specific industry. Like regionally, we have maybe only one. They do almost 80% exactly like what we do, but even internationally they are not a lot specifically what we are doing. Sometimes people, they look at us like a learning management system. No, we are not a learning management system. Some people, they look at us like we are a sometimes they also call us a learning experience platform. Today we are going into the skills intelligence platform. I think to a certain extent the adoption in this region is a bit low when it comes to those type of concepts. in the United States, specifically United States, and to a certain extent Europe market, they are more advanced, and the international competitors, they have sort of good sort of growth on those regions, and the market's more mature than our market. We have some sort of difficulty to educate the market about the added value of our technology, because we are as I said, it's a talent development technology.
Yeah. Now, can, for example, I'm trying to think of all possibilities, how people can benefit from the services that you're providing. Let's say there's a company that doesn't use your services, but there are staff inside that company that see the value in your services and understand that if that services was being provided for that company, their career path would be changed, or their skills will be shined and realigned. Can an employee contact you and say, guys, can you come and approach our management with your services?
Currently, we had some sort of those type of scenarios, and but currently LUMOFY is purely B2B. We don't serve individuals, it's not B2C platform. We are really following the strategy of building a SaaS B2B, an average of sort of $30,000 to $50,000 worth of contract. That's the strategy that we are taking in our technology.
Following up on that question, which is similar to the one I asked you, but a little bit more clarity. Have you developed, or will you develop, if you haven't already, where individuals can contact you directly and get that assessment themselves in order for them to understand that, you know what, HR is the area that you should be going in. Legal is go look at companies that are legal. So, for example, let's say I'm in my 20s and I'm starting my career path, and there's this company called LUMOFY. For X amount of dollars, I pay them, and then they do this assessment test on me.
Correct.
And with this assessment test, it kind of clarifies for me, by the way, don't wait to go to the company and let the company sign up with LUMOFY to find out if you're in the right path or right place, or to even get approval from management to go in the right path. Because even though you provide that information, doesn't mean management is going to do it.
Correct.
Right? If it says this guy should be in accounting, doesn't mean management will do that. I mean, also they have to make the final decision. But if I got this information by signing up with you and paying a fractional of a cost, and following one that's provided to an individual, not a corporation, and then you provide me with this assessment saying, go look for companies where you can be a sales or HR or legal or different departments. Do you have that? Do you provide that, or will you provide that?
It's very interesting. I think I always say, I will bring a very maybe silly example here. You can cook with chicken a lot of different type of meals, yeah, and LUMOFY could be used for different type of propositions. And what I really want to bring up here, the GTM, the go-to-market strategy, and building a SaaS or a high or a scalable startup, it's science, and it all goes into the revenue function and how you really structure your revenue function and how does it work. Now, let me take you we deep dive into how we are, let's say, growing LUMOFY, and what is the strategies that we are taking to really, what I'm trying to say here, a startup needs to have some sort of a sustainable growth. Profitability, it's not difficult, but sustaining growth is difficult. That's my mentor and one of our main investor, Claudio, says that. He built a company worth of $2 billion. Which is,
I will listen to him.
Which is on NASDAQ, and he's one of our main investor in this round. And I'm being mentored by him, and he has a very nice episode, or a series of different episodes on YouTube called 0 to 200.
Okay.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I advise everyone to watch
Definitely
that.
Definitely going to be
if anyone wants to build a B2B SaaS type of technology. So it's a science. If you come into our company and you look into our revenue structure, which is the revenue function, which we have the business development, customer success, and marketing. Now, when you go, let's go further into the business development or the sales function. In the sales function, you will see we will have 3 sub-functions, which we have the business development, BDRs we call them. Then we have the AEs, account executives, and we have the sales ops. Now, what is the job of the business BDRs? Their main focus is to generate qualified leads. Sameer, it's fully science. So it's all numbers. So, for example, they need to generate on a monthly basis, for example, let's say 50 qualified leads. For them to achieve the 50 qualified leads, we reach to a certain conversion rate. They need to reach out, for example, to 250 companies with different decision. So what we say it's a qualified lead, they cannot move that lead to the account executives unless it's qualified. What do you mean by qualify? You reach out to a decision maker, they have a budget and they have a need. Then they can move that lead to the account executive. The account executive job is to nurture that deal, demonstrate, give them a trial, then throughout the proposal stage, negotiation, and a closing.
Now, so the reason I asked you, can an individual, which you said till now you haven't opened that door, but by the way, you should, because, I'm not saying you should do what you think you should do in your company. Obviously, the subscription model is definitely the smartest and the best model, but also the mass public, in my opinion, every professional person that's graduated from university needs to know where their strength lies, because they haven't figured it out. They could be working in the banking sector, or because their dad or their mom said, work in the bank, work in the bank. What they should be doing is more industrial.
You're absolutely right.
All right.
What I'm trying to say by explaining the function out, the functions work, it's because if we are going to that direction, it really requires a different model of client acquisition strategies. So usually B2C, it's a game of marketing. How it needs to be a product-led. So again, I just wanted to explain that B2B SaaS when it comes to B2C, product-led, service-led. Every one of them, they have another order of directions and science behind it.
Well, one way that you can do what I'm saying in a B2B is go to the talent companies.
Correct.
These talent companies,
you're absolutely right.
These talent companies have all these people that they want to
you're absolutely
find
right.
jobs for them.
You're absolutely right.
And these talent companies can be your subscription people for people that are not really their employees.
Correct. That's one of the strategies that we work on as well.
Okay.
So we do have B2B2C.
Okay.
So we do sort of those type of integration with other, again, let's say HR platforms or career job post sort of platforms. We do such things. You
just reminded me of something. I remember when I was in boarding, I was, I think, 16 in boarding school in the UK, and they had this career day where they bring these professionals. I don't know if they do it in Bahrain, but at that time they bring these professional assessors, kind of like what your AI and software is.
And back in the
80s, but it was humans. And they're like each one is like a separate متخصص in a different field of employment, and they're like 20 of them, and each student in that school goes and sits with each one of them, and at the end of the day they tell them this is what you're good at. You know what they told me I was good at? Bus driver. Bus driver. That's what they said. You should be really good at get a career in the bus driving industry, like transportation, bus driving. So I'm sure if I did that assessment now, it'll be a little bit different and a little bit more accurate.
Absolutely.
But this is how important it is. I mean, honestly, I see, go to universities. Universities can, because this is where people start choosing their career and education that matters to their career, the college degree.
Correct.
And if you're tapping into the education field, then you're really hitting them in the earlier stage.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I see an unlimited
a lot of opportunities. You're right
for LUMOFY.
You're absolutely right.
It's a very clever. How did you? So you did tell us that you were working in different companies initially, and you kind of like saw the training and the HR part of things. But that's not your career. That's not what you studied. That's not what your career. That's just something that.
I identified that there is more than $350 billion on a yearly basis. Private and public companies, they invest in ineffective learning and development. So you imagine $350 billion. That is a huge waste on a yearly basis. And one of the main things that we identified, that a lot of companies, they go to consultants to build for them the skill framework.
Correct.
Yeah, or the competency framework. And they pay hundreds of thousands. Or sometimes countries, they pay consultants millions to build something, they call it a skill framework. Now, the problem that we really wanted to solve, now consultants will hate me. What consultants do, they will build a taxonomic framework. What do I mean by taxonomic?
Yeah, what does that mean?
They are predicting the coming 5 years.
Okay.
But what we are building, we are ontologic technology we are building. What is the ontology? It shapes and it changes based on the trends in the market. So when you come and you tell the country, that's your coming 5 years plan and those skills you require in the coming 5 years, take that solid, rigid framework and use it and implement it. Anything like AI heads, you cannot act. What you are building as the capabilities, they are not fit then. So what we are trying to build, they call it ontology, an ontological structure, rather than a taxonomic structure.
It's a new word. I didn't know about that word today, but thank you for teaching me that word. Now, tell us about your personal, I don't want to say struggles, but achievements in terms of LUMOFY. Like now we're talking about the entrepreneurial. So we understood what LUMOFY is and how it can help organizations and individuals. And we got a little bit of peek on what you're currently doing, and maybe I'll have another question for you about the future because we want to know where LUMOFY will go in the future. But before we get to that, your entrepreneurial life, how did it? Are you married, by the way?
I'm married with 2 kids.
Oh, so mashallah, God bless them. So how were you married when you started LUMOFY?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And you still married? It's one of the hardest things when you have an entrepreneur because basically,
absolutely.
I mean, I personally know that you really have another partner when you have a business. You have to treat that business as a partner and give it a lot more of your time than you do to your house, and then your kids and your partners, they suffer for that because you're traveling, you're the only employee usually in the company when you have to start it up. So it really is a struggle for the family as well. A lot of entrepreneurs start before they even have a family, just because of that. And plus, let's not mention the commitment, financial commitments. I mean, when you have a family, they have a monthly financial commitment. When you do a startup in a company, you have no income. So the balance is very, very struggle. Can you share with us some of those? How did you do it, and how can people learn from your success or achievements?
We'll not call it success or achievement.
Well,
still, I really believe that still we are at the surface of what we really want to build, and I really believe that financial aspect of how much do I have or what do I have, it's not an indicator of success. And I really believe I try to be as much as I can a purpose-driven type of a human being, having a message. That's what keeps me moving on a daily basis. I really believe that the capability of a human being, it's still it's unbelievable. I really
limitless.
Believe it's limitless, and
it really is limitless.
Literally, it's limitless, and it's very tough. It requires a lot of sort of mind toughness, and I really believe when the purpose is strong enough, the capacity of your brain and the capacity of your patience will expand always. It has no limit. And I really believe, how I'm doing it or how I'm going through that experience, it's tough. It's really tough, really tough. It's painful. And the beauty is in the pain. The beauty, it's in the pain because that's when I see myself, I am a living person.
Yeah.
I'm not a follower.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am not living for the sake of going to work,
Yeah.
then go to a coffee shop, then I barely go out. I barely have friends. Really, I barely have friends.
No, I don't know you personally in terms of that.
Yeah,
but I know the lifestyle that you had to have had.
The lifestyle that I have, it's tough. Not because I want to be from the 1% of the world. Not because that's not my motive. Because I really believe that the human purpose in life is much, much, much bigger than we think.
Yes.
It's really bigger, and we really can do a lot of things. And I really believe if the human beings or the people, they reach to a certain extent, they understand why they were alive, I wouldn't need to do all of that.
Yes. This is actually very, very well put. The fact that you don't know is what people actually drive them to find out the answer.
And the more you know, the more you don't know.
Yes, that's actually scary, but you're so right.
Really,
the
moment you take the company from $0 to $1 million, yes, I did it. No, you did nothing.
It's true.
Then from $1 million, you want to take it to $2 million. Still, you identify, man, you know nothing. There are people they made from 2 to 5, people from 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 50, 50 to 100. There are companies in our industry, they are doing $600 million a year.
Wow.
And again, it's limited. But as I'm saying, the financial aspects, of course, it's one of the core metrics of growth. But those financial metrics won't come if you don't have a value.
Yes.
If you cannot create a value. It's all about value realization. So yes, going back to the question, it's a lonely journey. It's very tough, especially being a founder as well, because especially when you go to the investment route and you have the investors or the board of directors, then you have the pressure of employees, then you have pressure of the market, you have the pressure of and it's, but I think that's who I am.
Yeah, that's where your discipline kicks in, by the way.
And I just need to continue.
Now, speaking of the money, so how many partners are you?
How many? So, what I have done.
How many partners did you start off with? Like the initial start off?
When I started with my brothers Mahmoud and Safa, and this is where I created a ESOP pool, a shares pool for them, and they really earned it. And one of the most successful aspect of us being, or our growth direction, came from putting an ESOP pool for different type of talents when they come, and we give them the shares that they deserve. It's based on a cliff and vesting period, and it really works. Sometimes you think I have 100% of a company valued of 1 million, or having 50% of a company that's worth 100 million. Yeah. And by really giving that out, it really builds up. Still, we have a pool of shares now allocated, which I own, but it's allocated for the ESOP, and it will be allocated for the right people at the right time.
So as of today, you have venture capitalists involved, angel investors,
Yeah. We have investors such as Hope Fund, Mumtalakat. We have investors, Geo Capital. We have investors like Ikikano. We have investors such as, we have angel investors like we're very well-known people in Saudi Arabia, like Abdurrahman al-Jifri, Yasser al-Ghamdi. We have international investors from Italy. We have investors from US. From
how did you do that? What's your secret?
I think it's nothing. It's everything.
Right. For those that don't know how to do it, for those that are like you 10 years ago when you were even thinking of these things, what should they do? How should they go upon approaching investors?
You need to seek for rejections.
I like that.
really you need to seek for rejections. We received hundreds of rejections. And sometimes you just send a friend request on LinkedIn, and then they accept your request, and you send, hi, Claudio, this is Ahmed Faraj from Bahrain. We are building something like this. I would like to seek your advice. And few minutes or 30 minutes, I don't remember how long, he replied back to me, hi Ahmed, thank you for reaching out. You can send me the details of this email.
Come on.
And I was connected with one of the people who built a company which is on NASDAQ, and they have, again, almost a $2 billion market cap they have on NASDAQ. And today he is one of the main investors. And he brought the early investors in his company also in LUMOFY. So consistency. Again, you need to make sure that, I really believe you need to have to, before you fundraise, have some traction. Really solve a problem. Even if you are solving a problem of, for example, you want to solve the problem in the industry of, let's say, us, HR, pick one aspect of HR, small aspect that they have a problem. Build one module around.
Specialize in that.
Specialize first. Build attraction, then show the value that you want to build through that technology, and consistency. And again, you shouldn't give up. And you change the mindset of seeking for rejections more. You will be the acceptance level is different.
That's actually very, very clever. Well put. I like that. I might use that in my future. You were on Beban show, right? Our Bahraini version of Shark Tank, correct?
Correct.
What stage was that? What that show was? It in your early stage?
Early stage.
So early stage. I'm sure that gave you publicity as well, not just from the organizers of Beban, but also from the viewers that were watching it, whether they are customers or investors.
Correct. Correct.
So can you just let us know how that helped, and any suggestions?
I think it really helped us in creating our brand and creating the brand value and the publicity side of it. Number two, the relationship side of it. I think one of the advantages of Beban, I think I got introduced to you. Yeah.
Yes. We met through that.
Correct.
Yes.
So it gave me build the relationship aspect as well, which is the base of everything. So it helped us in the brand value creation. It helped us in the relationship building. Then automatically, the business will come.
Right. What's some of the biggest challenges you think that's going on in your industry?
Scaling the business.
Correct. So when you want to scale and say you're already in Saudi?
We are already in Saudi, yeah.
So do you actually have to have a physical presence in Saudi?
Yes, we do have there.
Is that a requirement from being in Saudi, or is that a LUMOFY requirement? Or both?
It is I really believe it's a LUMOFY requirement, but you really cannot expand properly if you are not there. You are not in the market. You need to be there. People, they need to see you. It's still this region. It's a relationship-based region, and despite we are at SaaS, B2B technology, subscription, but it's a relationship-based region, and you won't know the level of opportunities there unless you are there.
Okay. How challenging was that? Because a lot of people, the first thing for people in Bahrain that think when it comes to expansion is not opening another branch in Muharraq or in Rifah or somewhere. It's usually across the border.
Correct.
But there's fear in that. There's fear in so many ways, in terms of just financial fears, just doing the wrong thing or tapping into the wrong, opening the wrong bank account, even just fear. How do you overcome such fears?
By throwing yourself into the middle. Really, Sameer, I started opening the Saudi market by being there with my cousin in his apartment, and again, it's almost a one-bedroom apartment, and I was seriously staying on his couch outside for a couple of months. And that's one where I focused on Saudi market, and I stayed for a couple of months there, built the database, started growing the pipeline, and started.
Did you knock on their door, or did you have somebody set up these things for you?
Relationship, speaking to our investors, speaking to people there, knocking the doors, but not directly knocking the doors, cold calling and all of that. And that person will introduce you to another person, and it's خلاص. When you are in the middle and you are a hustler, things will open up.
How many companies do you guys have signed up to LUMOFY?
We served more than 60 companies.
Okay. So, and as you said, this is a subscription business,
Correct.
which I love that business, by the way. This is in a lot of people's opinions, the future model of businesses. 60 combined GCC?
GCC, correct.
GCC.
Our biggest market is in Saudi Arabia. That's where our main majority of our revenue comes from. And we have, again, different streamline of revenues. We have, again, Bahrain also, we have revenue generation here. But we have also streamlined revenues where we are making money, passive income from the US market as well.
Right, okay.
Where our content sits in different marketplaces, and it's passive income.
It's interesting. You have actually different
streamlines of revenues.
That's very smart. Really?
Yeah.
And that's just a start. I mean, the more you're involved in this and the more you're exposed to different organizations, the more you're going to realize,
Correct. Things will open up for you.
Things will open up.
And if I can add, and in the startup journey or the entrepreneurial journey, in every stage of business, you really need to be sharp in identifying the right calibers or talents to take you to another stage. Because there are some people that they will give you the shift,
right,
and they will take you from a level to another level. And one of the core jobs that I have at LUMOFY is doing this.
So you're the CEO?
Correct.
So you use your product on your own team?
Yes,
as well?
absolutely. Correct.
I mean, definitely you should be doing that. I mean, if you're going to be talking about it, you should be,
I think we have the context of our technology into our mind by seeing everything in LUMOFY from our technology, but from a brain perspective as well.
Yes.
We're living it.
You definitely are.
We're living it.
Some personal questions. Who would you say is an influential person in your life that kind of like, I know you mentioned dad, of course, our dads are our heroes, and they're always, in my opinion, these are the ones on top. But who do you think that helped you in terms of dealing with some of the problems or some of the obstacles that every single entrepreneur has to go through? Do you have somebody of influence? It could be somebody famous or somebody.
The amazing part of the journey, in different stages, I had different type of people, and I really believe it really helped. Subhanallah, sometimes I don't know where those people come from. It's just like again, in every stage, I had different type of people to a certain extent involved with me or getting back to them. Currently, I have a couple of mentors, and at the same time, they are the board members as well.
How many board members do you have?
Currently, 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like Claudio, we have a bi-weekly meeting with him, very focused, and he is very sharp. And I go back to him if there is anything. So Claudio is being a very close mentor, very generous of him to invest in us and being again by our side closely. I have Muhammad Akkar. He's another founder in Saudi Arabia, where he also invested in us. I don't know if I can say that or not, but again, he's our my mentor also. He doesn't have a lot of time, but time to time I try to catch him. Abdurrahman al-Jafri as well. And I really believe I have people in my team where I also go back to them. And I have certain people in the team that sometimes I go back to them, I take their advice as well.
How many, what's the number of teams?
Around 55, 56, 55.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Wow. And this has started from like everybody working for free and just for equity, like 2 or 3 people, and now you're in a very short. I mean, honestly, 2020. Let's say 2021 officially, because even 2020 was a weird year.
Correct.
So that's we're talking about 3 years. That's very fast. It's not. That's quite a.
A wise man once said that a guy who lived 8 years, but actually he experienced 40 years of life, and a guy who lived 40 years and he really experienced 80 years. I think maybe a day of ours is maybe it's 5 days outside,
right?
And maybe you might hear it like I'm exaggerating, but literally the dedication level, the loyalty level that we have, the commitment that we have is tremendous, literally tremendous. And that's all blessings, alhamdulillah. And it comes also with the right intention, it comes with the right structure that when you set, with the right alliances when you build with your team, and the shared values that when you have, the shared vision that you have, you really can build a team of again inspired people, and that they are in.
What is something that most people don't know about you, Ahmed? Share a secret.
I don't know, to a certain extent I'm an open book type of a person, to be very frank. How can I put it? I mean, a very tough question. Okay, to a certain extent, I'm harsh on myself, and I try to be assertive with people at the same time. But I'm harsh on myself. By saying being harsh with myself, I'm scared to enjoy. You know, that type of feeling that I really have that fear of having of joy.
What are your long terms and aspirations for LUMOFY?
Good question. One of the personal, I really believe, I don't know if the board or the investors, they will like this or not. I really want to achieve $100 million revenue.
Unicorn. Billion.
That's one of the...
Well, when you go $100 million revenue, you're definitely a unicorn company, because you're worth a lot more than the 100 million that you're making.
So that's one of the one of the things that I want to hit before 40 years old.
Now, are you willing to hit that if you sell it? Like, let's say an international company that looks at companies such as yours, comes and says, you know what, here's your money, give it to us, we'll do it, we'll take it over, we'll make it reach to your dream. Are you okay with that?
Maybe yes. I really don't know. The situation itself will decide. Maybe yes. But this is the thing. It's the strategy of growth that you are taking, the strategy of exit, or the strategy of if we want to take it public, or we want to take it to exit direction. I think every time will decide this.
Because your data that you have, Ahmed, which I'm not telling you something you don't know, but you have a treasure of data on. I'm not saying personal data of people, just
the trades
and industries and just knowledge of these things and how the human mind and organizations work.
You're absolutely right.
That's if I was an international company in Europe or North America or even in Asia that do what I'm doing and I want to expand in this region, it's much better for me to buy LUMOFY than to come and set up a competitive to LUMOFY.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So you're okay with, you're not like, no, this is mine and my baby and I'll never let go of it, because you told me that you already have, you give equity.
Correct.
And knowing that this is part of growth.
Correct. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
What are the most common challenges your team encounters on a day-to-day basis?
A lot of things, to be very frank. A lot of things. But technically, it's tuning the operations internally is one of the things that we are constantly changing, and it's a bit tough on the team because we are a high growth type of organization, and it requires a lot of tuning here and there, specifically in the operations that we have. And that's one of the things, internal challenges that we have. And the other thing, I think the external aspects of things, which is educating the market and the acquisition cycle of, again, our client started with 100 and something, it's 160 days, 150 days to acquire a client. Now it's, again, month over month, we are tuning that further.
Of course, your reputation, your plays a long way. Your portfolio of clients plays a long way. And I'm not saying that this makes it easier, because also now you're getting more companies, so everybody, more companies, more money. Yes, more companies, more money, but more headaches, more staff, more skills, more things to grow and manage.
You're absolutely right.
Nothing comes for free or easy.
You're absolutely right.
Everything has a value to it. What advice do you have to people who want to be entrepreneurs, want to start entrepreneurs? So some of them may be already in a job and they're like, shall I leave this job? Shall I not? Some of them may be without a job, but they don't have money to start something. From somebody like you, who I consider to be a successful entrepreneur.
That's too much. To be very frank, so that's really too much.
Well,
when I hear it's successful, I
know you don't really are comfortable with this word. I know you like it, but you're not comfortable with it. But it's from my eyes. It's what I see. Okay?
I hope what you see is...
That's what I see. And what I see is, and this eye sees a lot, sees a lot of businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs. So this is what I see. What would you advise other people that are what you are 10, 15 years ago?
Again, explore. Put yourself into different experiences. This is where you will see yourself, how you react. And you will identify where you stand against the entrepreneurial spirit and mindset. So start living. And for you to live, you need to experience things.
No, that's interesting you said that. So let's say, for example, with you found your aha moment when you were working through different organizations, not in the HR department, right? You were working in different departments, in some sales and stuff.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, you saw a gap, a problem.
Correct.
Okay. For those that know that they want to be business owners, entrepreneurs, but they haven't found that thing to solve yet. Any advice for them of how? Like, is it something? How does it have to be something they're educated in? Does it have to be something that they're working in?
Not necessarily. I really believe when we say you need to solve a problem, there is a way for you to look at where to find the problem, and how it's all about how you visualize that problem. Let's say I will give you an example of how you really identify a problem. Let's look at a company who has they have a water. Let's say it's a water company. They produce water and they have bottles of water, or they supply water or whatever. So basically, those type of manufacturing, they have direct relationship with big, for example, suppliers, and they sell directly to those big supermarkets and all of that. Now, if you want to look into that supply chain aspect, you will find a problem. For example, why not having a direct sales from those manufacturers to the direct homes? So by creating something from the manufacturer to the homes directly, instead of people going, for example, to supermarkets and buy the water. Or let me do something else. Why not understanding the consumption level of every individual or every house to really create a subscription model with a reduced price for them to save on the amount of water that they are buying. But when you look into, again, what I'm trying to say here, you really can visualize the supply chain of a specific product, and you will identify that there are certain gaps that people they have, and you solve that problem.
So basically, what I just learned from you is that you don't have to be working somewhere or studied something to fix a problem. Just your day-to-day life that you're in, just you just living and understanding and seeing things that you're using every day, that you're part of every day. If you see something in there that can be improved, see something there that's a little bit challenging for you, that could be your business opportunity.
Absolutely. And again, there is statistics that stated that a lot of the billionaires that they built their businesses, it wasn't because of their expertise in that specific business. A lot of billionaires.
Yes, I'm learning that.
And one of the best traders in the world, he was a mathematician. He didn't experience till 40 years old any trading. He had no clue about trading. And I think that he was in the trading of the FX and all
commodities
of that.
And stuff.
Yes, commodities and all of that. And he was the best trader in the world. He was a mathematician. Why Yahoo's today? Because they invested in Alibaba for early days.
Oh, they got that exposure. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, Alibaba's that old? I don't know. Alibaba's
not that old, but Yahoo without Alibaba's investment.
Okay. Oh, of course, the benefits that they got from that. Interesting. What have you learned in business that helped you to become a better person?
Very good question. I think, inshallah, I'm like this. When you give, you will get much more. It's the karma thing really plays differently when you give. Sometimes you give maybe... No, don't take it from a financial perspective. Be like the tree. Let's take the palm tree now. I think Nakhla palm, they call it, right? People, they throw it with rocks, but still it gives.
Correct.
Yeah?
Correct.
Be the giver. And I really believe, again, there is statistically, they stated that the givers, I hope I'm a giver, okay? The givers really get much more. Again, don't do it for getting more. With that mindset, I don't think so. You will get more. But
we're not talking about financial.
No.
We're talking about mentally more, emotionally more, karma more.
Yes.
Give your time, give your knowledge, give your expertise. If it's a service that you have, if it's basically it's helping out people with not getting something in return,
without any expectations.
And yes, you're
without any expectations.
You're absolutely correct. Last two questions. What's the future for LUMOFY? So today you're in Saudi?
Today we are in Saudi.
The shop is open in Saudi?
Correct, it is.
And Bahrain?
Correct.
What's the future?
The future of LUMOFY, it's to be the number one. Again, a lot of people, they say the number one and I say that the number one, but we really want LUMOFY basically in future as a company or a technology where it really helped thousands of companies to align their direction and grow and achieve their business objectives. That's what we really aim on, to create that value for organizations. We really want to build that value for organizations.
How are you going to do that? Different markets, expansion, more investors, more alliances, I don't want to say better products, newer innovations, or all the above?
The evolvement of our growth and our clientele will identify opportunities for us, always. And we need to be very... we need to keep our eyes very open on those opportunities, and the growth usually come when you really look into things that you shouldn't look into, and by really looking into the places that we are not looking into, that's basically the growth and scalability will come.
You have 60 seconds to pitch to me LUMOFY.
LUMOFY is a skills intelligence platform where we align business objectives with the required skill sets by having the core competencies in place, assessing their employees, building their employees, and boosting them.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Ahmed, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Habibi.
Honestly.
Habibi, the pleasure was mine.
I think it's 3 years ago when we first laid eyes on your organization. And then from then on, it was just a matter of growth, mashallah. We're so happy and honored for you to be here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
We're definitely going to want you to be back over here. So then you could be mentoring. You'll be the mentor. We'll have you here as the mentor by then to share more ideas, more of your success stories. and maybe more of your entrepreneurial journeys. Maybe this is not your first. You said this is your second startup. So usually when you do good, you kind of get involved in others. From personal experiences. So we'd love to have you here again.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope you enjoyed this.
I totally enjoyed this.
And thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see you again.